Hi there, Chris from TotallyEV, and today we're going to be looking at the audio system that's comprised within the Audi A8. Now the model we've got over here is the A8L, which is the long wheelbase variant, and also has the comfort and sound pack included. Within that comes the B&O sound system, and we'll get into the specifics in just a bit. Now if you'd like to read the review, make sure you check out in link in description below, and furthermore if you'd like a full length detailed review of the car itself, excluding the sound system, then do check out in the description below for the video link, and furthermore a full written review. Now before jumping in, if you do have Instagram, very much appreciate a follow. It's at TotallyEVnet. It'll be on your screen right now, and of course in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So first off, let's talk about the setup. Now first off, it's the Audi sound system, the default stock system, which if you don't have the £2,000 to spend on a premium audio system, then that will come with a 10 speaker layout with 6-channel amplifier and has 180 watts of total power. Now if you were to upgrade to the B&O system, you do get 17 speakers, so an addition of 7 speakers, but notably the biggest difference is the fact you get 730 watts of power. That's really emphasized with the addition of the subwoofer, which is located at the back. Now the 17 speakers are located throughout the cabin, be it from the front and the back, and furthermore do add a 3D sound, which we'll get into in just a bit, but essentially adds a kind of spatial awareness of the sound system, and therefore can make you feel a little bit more in tune with the music or indeed the radio that you're listening to. Let's talk about the setup. Now within the settings and sound menu over here, within the infotainment display, you can see that you've got audio settings. So I've got the treble at -2, bass at +2, I've got the balance and fader at the middle of the car, I've got a subwoofer at +2, the focus at all. Now if you do have a VIP, I would recommend rear. Of course your audio quality and experience will be greatly affected, but if you're driving a VIP, you might want to prioritize them. Then you've got the surround level at +3, 3D sound at medium, and speed dependent volume control at absolute minimum. These are my settings, and these are the settings that I found resulted in the best sort of sound quality, and of course the sound quality we're going to talk about right now. Now before proceeding into my subjective analysis of the sound system comprised within the Audi A8, what I'd like to do is give you an audio sample. Here I've positioned the camera in 4 different scenarios, so in the 4 different seats, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and also we'll cycle through the surround levels and the focus. Be sure to check out in the bottom over here where you'll be able to see that the focus being changed, and be sure to tune in. Now the song will be from an artist called Priya. The song name is Falling. You can find it down in the description below for your own reference, and of course do give her a like and subscribe if you do like her music.
When I reach the brink, don't stop. They always sing, and now I'm falling, 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 falling again. In my own mind, but it's floating, no more it's hoping. But when I reach the brink, don't stop to think. They always sing, and now yeah. When I reach the brink, don't stop to think. I always sing, and now I'm way back to falling from so high, falling from so high, so high. The thing is, my imagination is constantly racing 1,000 miles ahead. I'm living young, you should hide. Then learn how to fly. It's the only way I know how to play this game to success. I'm not quite sussed it yet. Reach the brink, don't stop to think. I always sing, and now falling from so high, falling from so high, so high. The thing is, my I reach the brink, don't stop to think. I always sing, and now I'm from so high, falling from so high, so high. The thing is my imagination is constantly racing. 1,000 miles ahead, I'm living in my own mind.
So hopefully that little audio sample gave you a taste to how the audio system performs throughout the cabin. Now, of course, the best experience would be to hear it in person, but given that we're doing a YouTube video, that can't be quite possible without giving you an audio sample. Now, let's go through the sound frequency range and give you my experience with it. Now, first off, the sub bass. Now, the sub bass is there. It does extend, and that subwoofer is very much present. I do feel it does cut off at around the 40 Hertz region, but I will say that it does extend and give you that life that you might want in terms of music. Of course, if you are going to be listening to classical music or podcasts, then the sub bass isn't going to be really that important to you. But for someone like myself who listens to a lot of dance music and let's say R&B music or pop music, then I will say that that sub bass is pronounced, but I would have liked a little bit more extension in the low end. Now, next up is the mid bass. Now, here is where I was really impressed with the B&O system, because not only did it provide the right amount of quantity with +2 in the EQ settings, but the best amount of quality. Now, the quality is often quite hard and somewhat forgotten most of the time, because a lot of manufacturers will just pump a lot of bass through it, and therefore you get a bit of distortion and kind of wobbly sound. That was not the case with the B&O system. It does sound really nice and precise and allowed me to really enjoy my music. In this case, listening to EDM, R&B music or pop music was very much enjoyable, and specifically with that mid-bass slam being so accurate, I think you'll agree with me there. Now, moving on to the mids. Now, here is somewhat of a double-edged sword. Now, the reason I say this is because the treble adjustment on the EQ setting not only adjusts the mid-range, but also the highs. Now, I'll have to allude to the highs over here because it's pretty much tied in with the EQ setting, to the point where the highs were a little bit too sibilant and harsh, and therefore meant I had to reduce the treble by a few notches. Now, this does mean it does impact the overall mid-range, which at first did sound a little bit recessed and a little bit pushed back, ever so slightly so, but for a B&O system which costs about £2,000, including the comfort pack, of course, I would have expected a little bit more. Now, here I will say that if you are someone who's not overly sensitive in terms of hearing, then you might want to leave that setting at 0 or even increase the treble by 1 to 2 notches. If you are like me and you can hear up to 17 kilohertz, then you might want to reduce that, because when you do crank this system at a louder level, the harshness comes through, and personally I would prefer to have a slightly recessed mid-range at the expense of actually enjoying my music. It would have been very simple for Audi/B&O to include a mid-range and a high setting, and therefore would have allowed that tailoring of the mid-range to be boosted a little bit, whilst the treble to be toned down a little bit. And as such, I have alluded to the highs, and that's pretty much my thoughts about it. They are a little bit sibilant. They do extend very well and do provide a nice sort of sparkle at the top end, but I would have just liked it to be a little bit toned down. Now, moving on, we've got Soundstage. Now, here I was very much intrigued to see how B&O integrated a 3D sound, and furthermore integrated 17 speakers together to work in tandem. Now, what I will say is that I just want to quickly touch upon the focus. That is all rear and front. I preferred using it on the all mode because it gave a sense of spaciousness throughout the cabin. The front really does emphasize towards the front, whilst the rear might be actually quite interesting if you do have a VIP. In other words, someone you are transporting or chauffeuring around, then the rear setting might be better because it will give them a little bit of a better experience. Of course, it's up to you. If you want to enjoy music as well, put it on all. I don't think the VIP will be complaining, but if you do want to give them a more premium audio experience, do hit it on rear. Now, moving on from there, we've got the surround level. Now, the surround level, I did add it to around 3 notches, and I felt that the speakers needed a little bit of more emphasis in comparison to the front and rear speakers. Now, as for the 3D sound, there are 4 settings: off, low, medium, and high. Now, what I found with high is that it somewhat drowns out the mids and makes it sound a little bit too artificial. Low doesn't quite do it for me, and off is really more for purists, but therefore you won't get this sort of spaciousness that you will get when you have it on medium or high, for example. So in my case, the medium setting of the 3D sound was the best, and here I did feel that the overall sound did come across really well. Now there is a degree of you losing a bit of audio quality from the mid-range, but on the whole the medium 3D sound setting really does bring out the best of the sound system, the B&O sound system. Now whilst instrument separation is quite good, tonality and imaging is fantastic, I would have liked a little bit better width and depth in terms of the sound. Whilst it does have 3D sound, be it on the medium or high setting, I do feel that the sound could have been a little bit more airy. Now I'm not sure if that's due to the construction of the vehicle because it's such a super silent cabin, but I would have liked a little bit of a better width and depth. Specifically at this price range, I'd expected a little bit more from the B&O sound system. So on the whole, what do I make of the sound system? Well, I will say that Bang & Olufsen have done a good job, and tailoring it with Audi, I think they've integrated a large number of speakers and really bolstered the overall wattage that you get from the sound system. From 180 odd watts down to up to 730 watts. It's pretty crazy as an addition. It is worth bearing in mind that the audio system might not be perfect, but given that the price that you're paying plus the additions that you're getting with the comfort and sound pack, in my subjective opinion as someone who loves audio and of course loves driving as well, I will say it's a worthwhile investment and one that I would personally see myself paying for if I was going to buy this car. That is pretty much it. That is my own independent review of the audio system. If you do like this type of content, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to see more, and favorite and share if you feel that this video will be helpful to someone who's looking to purchase the Audi A8, or indeed if you've purchased it yourself and you want to kind of share your experience in a form of a video. As mentioned before, there is the full written article down in the description below, and of course the full review of the Audi A8 as well can be found on the channel and indeed on TotallyEV. Alright guys, I've been Chris from TotallyEV. Take care and goodbye.